Life certainly is different now. But one thing hasn't changed, and that's no matter who you are, education has the power to bring out your potential, to propel you forward, no matter your background, where you are from, or what you want to achieve. At NBCC, we're still committed to hands-on learning and instructor-led education, whether that's in person or virtually through connected classrooms. Just remember, education knows no boundaries, and neither should you.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Bon matin à tous. Welcome to the first Breakfast and Learn Atelier de Matin of 2021, presented by the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Moncton. My name is John Wishart, and I'm CEO of the Chamber. Normally, we would be at NBCC Moncton for this presentation, but of course, that just isn't possible during the red phase. Nonetheless, I would like to start out by thanking NBCC for being our sponsoring partner again this year for our Breakfast and Learn series. We may be virtual now, but we do hope to resume in-person events as soon as it is safe to do so. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Clarissa Harris-LeBreton, who's the Coordinator of Entrepreneurship and the OASIS program at NBCC, to say a few words. Clarissa?
Thanks, John. So NBCC, we're really happy to be back as the sponsor for the Breakfast and Learn series with the Chamber this year. And even though we all look a little bit different in our homes and our offices, the message is still the same. We want to transform lives and communities, and we're happy to help the Chamber do that in the southeastern part of the province. So this year, we have new departments, new names of our departments. So the sponsorship is coming to you from NBCC, but more specifically through my department, which is Research, Innovation, and Experiential Education, and the Professional and Part-Time Learning departments and units at NBCC. So we're super happy to be back as a sponsor. We hope to host you all in person at our NBCC Moncton campus and get some noise and joy back in the halls and walls of our campuses. So thank you, and we'll see you each month at the Breakfast and Learn.
Thanks, Clarissa. So I don't know about those of you who are on today's call, but to me, it seems like we've been running an 11-month marathon, both physically and mentally. The pandemic has really increased stress levels, and it's affected our mental health. And we hear daily from our public health officials about the physical toll of COVID-19, but what about the mental health toll? That's really what today's presentation is all about. The title of today's presentation is Brain and Mood Health, Managing Mental Health with Nutrition. So to say that this topic is timely is a giant understatement. We're very pleased today to have with us two holistic nutritional consultants, Sheena Burlock and Tammy McCullough, as well as Sion Roberts, all from Simply for Life, Riverview. Tammy has had an interest in healthy living for quite some time. Her interest became her passion when she decided to have a child in her future. And with no information on hereditary conditions or family medical history, she believed the best choice she could make was to immerse herself in continuously learning about natural health and nutrition. This would arm her with the knowledge to manage any health condition she may encounter during her pregnancy and help her in raising a healthy child. Actively working in the nutrition industry enabled Tammy to continue her studies and continually gain knowledge on how to incorporate nutrition into a healthy lifestyle. She learned through her studies how to manage disease, and through her skills as a life coach has been able to guide people to take control and manage their own health through nutrition. As a registered reflexologist, nutritional consultant, and naturotherapist, Tammy is able to help people on their journey to wellness. Now, helping people is also Sheena's passion. Through health coaching, Sheena combines healthy lifestyle habits with the most beneficial nutritional information to transform lives and give people back more energy, more confidence, more self-love, and more life. Sheena is a certified health coach and has embraced the journey of a healthy lifestyle for the last several years. When she was studying agriculture and nutrition in university, she became fascinated with the idea of healing the body through food. Nutrition had a personal impact on her life when she was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and prescribed medication to manage the symptoms. It was this battle and her health coach training that where she found out there was something more she could do to help her body overcome what was eventually diagnosed as an autoimmune disease. Sheena learned certain foods can have negative effects on the body, increasing inflammation and leading to many health conditions. This is the journey that's inspired Sheena to want to help others. And last but not least, born and raised in Moncton, Sion Roberts' working career has taken him across North America to Halifax, Toronto, Northern BC, Dallas, Texas, plus the San Francisco Bay Area. He recently returned to his hometown and is running a software company while also helping his wife Natasha's Simply for Life Riverview business. Sion has observed firsthand the power that Simply for Life can make in changing lives for clients, including his own mother, who suffered a devastating heart attack and stroke at the age of only 52, which impacted her both mentally and physically. But thanks to Simply for Life, she was recently able to lose 50 pounds within only a few months. All of this from eating healthy foods on a personalized life program. So I believe Sion is going to act as kind of our moderator today. So I'll now turn the podium over to him, Tammy, and Sheena.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Welcome, everyone. It's a gray and cold morning out there, but thankfully I'm cozy inside and I'm fully caffeinated as well. Thanks for joining us at this Breakfast and Learn session. Just a few slides just to give a little bit of background for anyone who may not be already familiar with Simply for Life. We are a healthy lifestyle and weight loss nutrition program company, and the location that my wife and I own and that is operated by the two lovely ladies on the call here today is actually the original retail location for Simply for Life. It's been around for over 20 years and it's helped thousands of people make a difference in their lives. Just a quick comment, we do have we call it the natural market within Simply for Life. And I want everyone to know that that is open to the public. You don't need to be a member to shop here. We have a variety of healthy products, nutritional supplements, and pre-made meals as well, if that's something that's of interest to you. Part of the theme today is choosing the right path, and that's going to involve, do you want to continue down a path of being less than satisfied in achieving your healthy living goals, perhaps continuing to deal with chronic medical issues. Alternatively, with the Simply for Life program, it allows you to take the path of nutrition education and ideally achieving your healthy lifestyle goals through coaching and the support of our Simply for Life counselors. Just a brief agenda setting for today. This is the About Us section. Obviously, I'm going to flip in a moment to the team in terms of being able to meet them because they're going to run the presentation. The topics that we'll cover today include the mental health recommendations that Tammy and Sheena wish to share with the group. Most importantly as well, the role of nutrition in mental health. From a Q&A format, I'm going to watch the chat. So please, if you have questions in real time, feel free to put your hand up and ask those questions during the presentation. It is supposed to be interactive. Don't worry about keeping your questions until the very end, although we will have a formal Q&A session, last 5-10 minutes of the session as well. We will be sharing a copy of these slides, so feel free to take notes if you want, but don't worry about capturing all of the content because we will be sharing a copy. And then lastly, I wanted everyone to know that we are giving away $75 today. So at the conclusion of this session, there's going to be a post on our social media for the attendees of this session. And if you follow us, like us, and share, each one of those things will give you an entry into a draw. And we're going to give away a $75 gift card that can be applied towards the natural market or towards a registration for Simply for Life program. It'll be your choice. So this is Meet the Team. I'm not going to say too much about Tammy because she's here and she can talk about herself. And we'll start with Tammy and then we'll flip to Sheena. And then you guys are going to listen to the real experts. Nobody wants to hear me at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Thanks, Sion. So I'm hoping everybody can hear me. I am in the office today, so if you can't, just let me know and I can speak a little bit louder. So John did a great introduction of us. I'm just going to quickly add, I've been self-employed for the past 10 years in the field of nutrition, natural therapies, life coaching. My end game was to be employed with Simply for Life, mostly because their core values resonate with me in regards to their nutrition protocols. So I'm happy being the face of Simply for Life and knowing that everything that we speak of with our clients is something that we hold near and dear to our hearts. So I'm going to let Sheena introduce herself and then we'll get started.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sheena. Again, there was a lovely introduction, so you guys have a good sense of a little bit about me. I have a very similar story, I guess, to Tammy. I was working on my own for a few years as I kind of learned more about nutrition. My interests grew, taking more courses and programs with a very similar angle of wanting to get on with Simply for Life. Same thing. All of their ideals around health and healthy living are very similar to mine. They align pretty well perfectly with everything that I wanted in being a nutrition coach and helping people be healthier. And really that it's not just about food, it's about lifestyle. And so that's something we're talking about a little bit today with nutrition and mental health and how they kind of go hand in hand. So let's get started. I am going to turn off my video because nobody needs to see me reading my notes. And then you guys can focus on the presentation. Okay.
So today we're going to go through, we're not going to be reading the slides, we're just going to kind of add to them. You can feel free to read them. At Simply for Life, we understand that health not only comes from food, but from our overall outlook. Mental health and physical health need to be balanced. Health doesn't come from one focus only. It comes from finding mental and physical fitness. Next slide. Mental illness affects people of all ages, education, income levels, and cultures. We all know someone who is affected by mental illness. It's very prevalent in our society today. We should all practice taking note of our mood and outlook daily. Do your moods fluctuate frequently? Do you feel anxious or stressed? Is your mood shifting because of external stimuli or from within? These are important questions to ask yourself every day. Next slide. Today, we're going to touch on the following fairly simple ways to naturally improve your brain and mood health. Water, movement, creativity, food, nature, sleep, and a centering practice. Next slide.
Okay, hydration. I think we all know that water helps keep the human body healthy, and it's because, well, every single cell in our body requires water in order to function properly, including the brain, which is 75% water. So I think it really goes without saying, if you're not getting enough, you're probably not operating optimally. Next slide. Did you know that most people are actually dehydrated, and that dehydration has been attributed to things like fatigue, headache, brain fog, irritability, and even digestive issues? Being well hydrated, on the other hand, can actually help alleviate and prevent those symptoms, as well as boosting your mood, energy levels, and metabolism. Next slide.
Movement is so important to physical and mental health. Exercise releases serotonin and endorphins. Endorphins are our feel-good hormones. They help elevate feelings of well-being. Next slide. If you find you're feeling anxious, slower forms of exercise may be more nurturing and soothing for you. So some ideas for more gentle movements or exercise could look like yoga, a slow walk in nature, playing with the dog, even taking a stretching exercise while sitting at your desk at work is a nice, soothing, nurturing form of exercise. Next slide. Now, keep in mind, movement, exercise can come in varying forms. It doesn't all have to be traditional exercise. Yes, it's great to get out to the gym, to do your yoga, but keep in mind right now, all of these things are not things that we can do. So movement can look like dancing. Movement can look like snow shoveling, snowshoeing, playing with the children, playing with the dogs. All types of movement is exercise. Just keep moving every day. Next slide.
Creativity. Breaking out of your daily routine by adding more creativity and play into your life can reduce stress and create a sense of spaciousness and positivity, something our lives often lack as adults. So go ahead and take the opportunity to express yourself, be present in the world, and don't be afraid to enjoy a little fun. Next slide. Back to when you were a kid or a time when you felt carefree and alive. What were some activities you enjoyed back then? And how can you incorporate them back into your life? It's something that not a lot of us take time for anymore. And the happiness and joy from some of these hobbies and activities that we used to take part in, especially when we were younger or as children, that joy is something we, again, lack as adults, that time for ourselves, that creativity, that fun. So don't be afraid to take a little time for yourself and reintroduce that back into your life. Next slide.
Let food be your medicine. We are actually in the perfect community for this. We have access to local farms, offering seasonal and year-round produce and meats. Next slide. Focus on eliminating processed foods from your diet and eating more whole foods. When your meats and your foods are cleaner, you feel so much better. You can also up-level your clean eating and look towards the local food sources. And the reason why we recommend this, there's less pesticides being used, no factory farming meat locally. So that brings in less hormones, less antibiotics in the meat that we're eating. We're lowering our carbon footprint, all while doing this and feeding and nourishing our body in a healthier means. We're also supporting local community. Next slide, please.
Before I move to the next slide, Tammy.
Yeah.
Do you mind just sharing with the group what you mean by whole foods and processed foods? I think it's a very simple distinction, but it's part of the philosophy of Simply for Life too, as well, in terms of what foods are best for your body or what foods will best fuel and nourish your body. Can you just maybe expand upon that?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things we hear a lot is everybody wants to eliminate their carbs. You hear that all the time. It's the focus of the keto diet. Every diet is eliminate carbs, eliminate carbs. What doesn't get explained is there's two types of carbs. There's your processed carbs, which comes as your bread, your pasta, your cereal. But on the same side, there is your whole food carbs. That falls under your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, your carrots, your parsnips. So when people say carbs are bad, Carbs aren't bad. It's just choosing and picking whole food carbs and eliminating or reducing those processed food carbs. So that's just a quick overview on one aspect of processed foods.
Thanks so much, Tammy. And later on, I'm going to get you to tell everybody about the good fats too, because that's always fun to realize that some fats are actually good. But thanks for expanding upon that. I'll go to the next slide now.
Okay. So now we're going to go on to, here we have the top 10 foods for brain and mood health. And the reason why these are our top foods is they are really good high fat foods. These foods actually will directly affect how you feel physically and mentally each day. So these are foods that we should be incorporating every day into our diet. Seafood, powerhouse of healthy fats. Coconut oil, fuel for the brain. Lean meats, long-standing energy, helps with stress management. Berries, high in antioxidant. Turmeric will act like a natural antidepressant. Leafy greens, they're going to support our digestive health. Raw soaked nuts, healthy hormone levels and brain strengthening fats. Eggs, vitamin rich, great fats. Goat yogurt, another great fat, helps supports digestion as it's a little bit easier for people to digest, as well as people who need to stay away from a cow's dairy. A goat's yogurt works really well. And a pure dark chocolate, mood boosting and stress reduction. So we're looking at a dark chocolate, probably about 72% cocoa and above is where you want to go. So these are our really good, healthy, high fat foods that are going to help support your brain and your mood health. And these should be in your rotation daily. If ever you have any questions on how to get these in, feel free. Ask us. We will give you some great ideas, suggestions, and recipes on how to get these good, healthy fats into your diet daily.
Tammy, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Sorry. I think maybe the analogy is like if your body is a car, it's like putting the good fuel in your car. Like you could get from A to B on the cheap gas, but to put the fuel that in your vehicle that's designed to work best with your vehicle. And as I go through this list, these are all things that are found in kind of in a natural form that don't involve kind of processing before you consume them. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So these are your whole foods. These are the foods you need to get in every day if you want to fuel your body the way that you add your gas into your car.
Thanks for that. Now let's tell everybody about good fats, because that's always fun.
This is, and I did take Sion's favorite little meme out where it was the avocado chasing the other avocado saying, hey, I'm good fats. But anyways, that's just a side note.
That's okay. I'll put it back in when I share the slides. Don't worry.
Awesome. So you see a lot of EPA and DHA. They are omega-3 fatty acids, and they are for our healthy brain function. Our fats are going to help boost our brain and support mental health. So not all fats are bad. There are bad fats, and you're going to see when we go to the next screen, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the fats you want to incorporate, fats you want to limit, and then fats you would preferably should maybe eliminate altogether. So you want to go, we'll go to the next slide, please. Okay, so here are our 3 types of fats. We have our unsaturated, saturated, and trans fats. So our healthy fats are our unsaturated. So we want to maximize consumption of these every day in our diet. We're going to get these from vegetables, from nuts, from fish, olives, olive oil, avocado. So they're pretty easy to get into your diet. Saturated fats, they're okay fats. We're going to limit them. Don't need to be every day. You can mix them up. Those are your meats, your hard cheeses, your soft cheeses, your yogurt, cottage cheeses. So still want to...
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I know it's on the screen. Maybe the print is kind of small. The actual like good fats, will have a direct impact on lowering your cholesterol and reducing the risk of heart disease, correct? Like that's why like people, you know, try to eat avocados and fish and the good oils, and even the saturated fats can still help transport necessary vitamins within the body, correct?
Yes, and your body will actually create its own cholesterol as well. So it's going to actually create it from what you feed it. So if you're feeding it trans fats or unhealthy fats, it is going to create an unhealthy cholesterol in the body. So to lower your risk of heart disease and stroke, you want to focus on your unsaturated fats. So this is where you would look at a Mediterranean diet. They very much maximize consumption of your unsaturated fats, your olive oils, your healthy fish, your avocado oil. So they use those in max consumption. Limit your red meats, limit your cheeses, limit your meats. They are essential fat soluble because you need them for your vitamins, your A, your D, your E, and your K. So again, your saturated fats are necessary. And you'll see as we go along, we'll talk a little bit about vitamin D as well as we go along. Now our trans fats, they raise our cholesterol levels, increase the risk of heart disease and stroke. And these, as you can see by the pretty little red circle, it is your cakes and your cookies and your chips and your deep fried fatty fries. Those are the ones you need to eliminate. You'll even see when you're going through and looking at your ingredient list, hydrogenated fat. So if you flip your bag of chips over and you look at the ingredients, you will see hydrogenated fats. These are one of the items that you want to just eliminate, put back on the shelf, or if you're going to have them, you're going to have them in moderation, being very mindful of what you're putting into your body. Next slide.
Okay, so finding nature where you are. Nature is seemingly all around us, but depending on where you live and work, access to it might feel challenging. Next slide. Connecting with nature can actually help calm the nervous system and improve restorative sleep. So whether you're getting out for a hike or growing your own herb garden, there's always ways to find and connect with nature. There's even talk of local companies putting rooftop gardens in for employees as a way to connect with nature and rehabilitate some of the bee species and the birds and the butterflies that we often hear are struggling in our areas from pesticide consumption. So really important to find a way to connect with nature, to help nature, but also for your own soothing, calming your nervous system. And actually, that also helps reset the body's natural circadian rhythm, which is essential for your chemical releases throughout your body and that help to get a good quality restorative sleep. Next slide.
So living where we are, we realize that 6 months out of the year, it can be very challenging to get enough sunlight. That makes it so much more important to get sunlight when we can. Next slide. 30 minutes a day is really all it takes. Some days, as we said, are more of a challenge. And there we tend to recommend that people talk to their healthcare provider about vitamin D supplementation. There are a lot of great vitamin D supplements on the market. There also are different ways for vitamin D, whether it's a short term going into a tanning bed. If vitamin D, if you have a hard time with absorption of a supplement, there are alternate ways that you can get your vitamin D in the winter. As well as if you see it's a sunny day and take your time, get outside 5-10 minutes, a nice gentle walk, face up to the sun and get that sunlight in. Vitamin D is known as a sunshine vitamin. It's known as a sunshine vitamin for a couple of different reasons. We get it from the sunshine and it helps better our mood. It also is going to support our immune system, and it's going to aid in cancer prevention. So we are hearing lots of information about vitamin D in the news, using it as a preventative to boost our immune system in the winter. We tend to, if our clients are taking vitamin D supplementation, we always recommend that come the spring and the summer, you get off your supplements and you get out and you get some good sunlight directly on the skin. Next slide.
So when we talk about mental health, it seems fitting that we talk about things like getting some exercise in, eating healthy, hydrating, but it's not often that we think about something like the idea of service or altruism or reflection of ourselves. So it's important to really take a step back, appreciate all that you already have, but also to make time for those who are less fortunate. Finding ways to volunteer is a great way to meet other like-minded individuals in your community, to grow your network of connections. So if you find yourself feeling low, try volunteering for a cause that really speaks to your heart and get involved. It's a great mood booster. The idea of giving it's one of those double-edged swords, because not only are you helping the people that you're volunteering or the cause that you're supporting, but you're also getting the benefits of feeling pride in yourself, feeling good about yourself, the joy that you get from participating in those types of causes. So you're getting really both sides of the benefits. Next slide. So as an example, here Tammy and I are with Pablo from Fulfilling Hearts Dog Rescue, which is definitely an organization that is near and dear to both Tammy and I. So that's just a little example of us. We had done some donating work and some posting. Not a lot of volunteer going on right now, especially in the red phase, so not a lot of in-person interaction, but something to keep in mind for the future. Definitely getting involved. Okay, next slide.
Sorry, Sheena, I was just stuck at looking at Pablo. He's definitely a good boy, I could tell. So he's one of those, who's a good boy.
Yeah, he's available. Well, he's in training with the rescue right now and will be available for adoption soon. Okay, don't forget to breathe. Seems pretty obvious, right? But it's sometimes more complicated than that. Our brains and our bodies need ample amounts of oxygen to be their healthiest and perform optimally. But did you know that your breath is directly impacted by how you're feeling? So when you're feeling stressed or depressed, your breathing will be short and shallow, while feelings of calm are connected to slow, deep breathing. So you can take advantage of our breathing in times of stress in order to trick the brain into feeling calm. There's a great breathing technique called the 5-5-7 breath used for exactly that. So the next time you're feeling a little nervous or stressed, exactly like how Tammy and I were feeling right before we started this presentation, you could try doing the 5-5-7 breath, which is 5 cycles of a 5-second inhale with a 7-second exhale. So your exhale is always just a little bit longer than your inhale, and you repeat that breathing cycle for 5 times or a few times, and it will help naturally calm the brain. It will release the hormones that make you feel a little bit calmer, because in times of stress, your body naturally thinks that you should be breathing shallow. You have that panting style breath. So your body really just thinks, well, there's no way that I can be stressed out. Look how calmly I'm breathing. And it will trick your body into releasing the calming hormones, and you'll feel that calming effect. Next slide.
Okay, so our daily check-in. Begin to tune in and take note of your overall outlook on life. And when Sheena said that, yes, at the beginning of this, the breathing techniques, Yes, I went in and I did a few cycles of breathing to kind of bring myself to a place of peace. So we do this. We need to tune in every time. And it's even moments during our day where you need to just tune in, take the time and feel where you're at mentally and physically. I noticed my stress because I wasn't breathing into my stomach. My breathing was very shallow. So I forced myself to take in a deep breath, center myself, and this became so much easier to do. As well, we never take the time to celebrate and review our accomplishments. This is something we should be doing daily, as well as practicing forgiveness of yourself and others. Again, this is another one of those double-edged swords where practicing forgiveness is more healthy for you than it is as something that you're doing for somebody else. They're not aware of your forgiveness, but you're giving forgiveness because it makes you feel better. So we should be occasionally checking in to what you may be holding on to. Forgiveness does not mean you need to forget about what happened, but rather you are choosing to take an empowered stance that allows you to feel lighter, happier, and more free. Next slide.
Tammy, just before we go to the next slide, the daily check-in, some people refer to it as mindfulness. So yes. I have another business. It's a very small software startup, and we have a weekly team meeting where everyone goes around, talks about updates and accomplishments for the week, and any blockers that can be solved by the group. But one thing that we're very conscious about doing, because it is a startup, it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster, highs and lows. We always ask each individual, what is it they're thankful for, or what is it they appreciated in the last few days. It's just a way to kind of focus on the positives, because our kind of biological brains are tuned to focus on negatives as threats. But that daily check-in, that centeredness and mindfulness, it's something you can actually practice and develop that habit of having a positive outlook, which not only affects your mental health, but your physical health as well, correct?
That is correct. So we don't often notice changes because they happen so gradually over time. So this is why we recommend daily check-in. Start your check-in in the morning, kind of check in how you're feeling, how you're going to set your day up. And you're also going to do a nightly check-in as well to celebrate your accomplishments. And the reason for tuning in daily is you want to gauge where you find yourself, your mood and your outlook. Because really, if you're not doing it daily, it's very difficult to get an accurate assessment. So you'd kind of want to average a week's worth of your daily baselines. So doing this in the morning to have a morning check-in, and then every day at the end of the day, you do another check-in, see how you feel. And that is where you take the time to celebrate your accomplishments at the end of your day. You review all the things that you've done and you celebrate every accomplishment within that day. Do you have anything to say on that, Sheena, for your check-in?
No, I think you touched on everything really well. You're right. I love what Sian said about practicing mindfulness and how you reframe things. So yes, often when even if you were doing a daily check-in, it's very easy to do your check-in and get caught up in the negative. Like, okay, I'm going to check in today. Well, this went wrong and that went wrong and this was bad and that was bad. So you can check in with all of those emotions, but I encourage you to find the way to reframe them into the positive, what you got out of that negative experience, what you've learned, how you can grow as a person to overcome and deal with those sorts of situations. So there's a lot of things you can do and learn and grow into as a person if you start getting in the habit of doing daily check-ins and yes, framing things in a positive light.
That's great. I'm sorry, Tammy. I just want to give a quick time check to both of you.
Okay.
We probably have about 10 minutes and then another 8 minutes left in the hour for Q&A at the end if we want. What I was going to suggest, Tammy, is you had some very detailed content around our programs, and I think we can kind of save that till the end if we have time to get into the details. Maybe just go through like all the other like general content, and then obviously the kind of I wouldn't call it a sales pitch, but the specific information around Simply for Life, which we're more than happy to share with people, but that's probably not the most important thing to cover within the hour here if we do get stuck on time.
Perfect. So we recommend that you seek out what motivates you daily to consistently strive to be your best possible self in life.
So there's definitely things to consider when it comes to, of course, physical health, but mental health as well. So people tend to think of like loss of profit or loss of productivity from physical illness, colds, flus, sickness, injury, but there's a huge amount of people that are affected by mental illness, or like we saw in the beginning in some of the stats, that it does affect adults and children. So it's so important, especially for you as an individual, but then also as you as an employee or an employer, to make sure that mental health is in check as well, because it does also contribute to things like corporate profit losses of productivity, where if you're making sure that your mental health as well as your physical health is in check, that you'll see a reduction in absenteeism, you'll see increased productivity, reduced stress, and just happier, healthier coworkers, employees, employers, and it kind of affects every single person. So it's important that everybody is focused on not only the physical health, but the mental health.
That's really great, Sheena. I'm just going to add to that. When we had done the previous presentation, we did actually have quite a few slides that talked about the data around the direct impact and costs to employers. So hard to do on a Zoom session. I know when we were actually in the room almost a year ago now at NBCC, we'd kind of show hands of like who's there as an employer or in a human resources manager role. That seemed to be the majority of the attendees. And, you know, as individuals, we're very concerned about the mental health and physical health of us as individuals. But as employers, there's actually a quantifiable benefit to, more healthier employees, whether that's increased productivity or alternatively not lost productivity and taking sick days, et cetera. And if anyone's interested in that data, we actually have probably a 10-slide deck that we can share with you if you just request it.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So one of the key benefits of corporate wellness programs is that they can actually lower the cost of healthcare for participating employees. So by working together as a company to ensure the health and wellness of your employees as a whole will actually benefit kind of everyone on a company level and on an individual employee level. Next slide. So there are, like I said, lots of benefits. So touching a little bit more on that, there is increased employee retention, or alternatively lower turnover rate. So employees are going to want to stick with you if they know that you are also concerned with their health and well-being and try to make a happy, healthy workplace, which is of course going to reduce costs in recruiting and training new hires. Enhanced physical and mental fitness is going to keep your employees sharp and on task and not always feeling drained and worn out. And you're going to have improved company morale, because happy, healthy people enjoy going to work, enjoy being part of a team, and they feel like they are cared about and supported from an employer level, which is really important. Next slide.
Okay. So as Sion said, we did have a lot of extra slides about mental illness, who's affected, a lot of stats, how is it affecting your businesses. At the same point, we do feel that you are well aware right now with everything that's going on, either as an employee or an employer, business owner. You see how your mental health of your employees has been affected in the past year. So we did take those slides out as we're living it right now. And we do see that there is going to be more and more steps toward mental health awareness on a business side to be able to support their employees. So right now, I do find most businesses, their focus is on keeping their employees healthy. And it is a business strategy, and it should be a business strategy because it is one that is going to keep your business fluid. Now, with Simply for Life, we are here to help you with that business strategy. That's actually kind of our business model. We offer programs designed to help your business with your business needs in mind. And I truly believe that that's why the Greater Moncton Chamber of Commerce has invited us back year after year to do our presentation, is because they do see the importance in businesses recognizing and having employee wellness as a first and forefront business strategy. So I can go on and talk a little bit about Simply for Life and how our program works. But at the same point, before we go into that, I'd like to know if there's any questions about anything that Sheena and I talked about, for whether it be about your sleep, trying to connect with nature, food be your medicine, altruism. Is there any questions that you'd like to kind of put out? Hi, John.
Hi, I have a question myself, actually.
Yeah.
And it relates to sleep.
Okay.
Are there specific tips for getting a better night's sleep, or is it really a byproduct of better nutrition and some of those other things you talked about?
It's a little bit of each, John. We tend to tell people to not snack on carbs. So your breads, your chips, and things like that at night, because it does interrupt your sleep pattern. Now, at the same point, we tend to be focused on our phones at night or our laptops at night. So we've got that blue light staring into our face until we go to sleep. We're listening to the news, we're catching up on the numbers. All of these things are going to bring your brain into fight or flight, which is going to be a stress to the body, which again is going to make it very difficult for the body to have a restful sleep. Do you have anything else, Sheena, you'd like to add to that?
I'll just touch more on when we talked about the circadian rhythm. Maybe most people don't know what that is, but it's actually how the natural world kind of affects our body's chemical releases in terms of responding to daylight hours. When it starts to get darker, we know that once the sun starts to set, that's a signal to our body and our chemical releases to start the sleepy time hormones. And that's why blue light from your phone and your laptop, or even like TVs and things, are disruptors to sleep, because they're messing with the type of light that you're getting. So it's giving you the signal, that light is giving you the signal that it's still daytime. So it makes it hard for your body to release the nighttime chemicals, which is why it's really important to turn off those devices, at least an hour, but a good while before you try to go to sleep. And yes, not eating before bed, because that can mess with your blood sugars, which can lead to a restless night's sleep. But those are some quick, easy tips. Stretching before bed is really helps you calm and helps for a better night's sleep too. But yeah, those are probably some of the top tips for getting a better night's sleep.
I think those are all really good tips, Tammy and Sheena. If anybody, I think the term is called sleep hygiene. So at our house, we have 2 teenagers. It's a constant struggle with screen times, etc. And we actively try to shut down looking at any screens at least half an hour before bedtime, because that light is a cue to your body. You go back to the good old days when people didn't have electricity. It's like you're awake during the light hours. And I think it's a way to kind of get a better night's sleep, obviously, if you're kind of removing that light, or at least even putting the blue light filter on your phone. Tammy, there's a question here in the chat. It's a question around coconut oil and avocado oil being good for us.
Yeah.
And the attendee's question was, they wanted to know which one we would recommend for cooking. And I'm going to kind of guide your answer a little bit, because I don't know much about a whole lot, but when I do know an answer, I'm pretty proud of myself. I think there are certain choices based on smoke points in addition to the actual healthiness of the oil, correct?
You go, you got it. You're correct.
Yeah, maybe you can just answer that in a more expanded answer in terms of how would
So
you
you
how
know
would
that
you use the
there's
oil
one
for cooking?
kind, but you don't know which one is which.
I
Yeah,
didn't say I was an expert. I just said I know a little bit. That's
yeah. So with the smoke points, that's very true. So avocado oil is one of the higher ones for smoke point. So you can cook at a higher temperature and the oil will still be safe with avocado oil. So avocado oil is the one that I always recommend for high heat cooking, pan frying. Olive oil is actually the best to consume as like a drizzled oil. So to consume kind of as is on a salad or on your veggies. There is tons of positive things that come from consuming olive oil. It's heart healthy. It's good for brain function. It's good for boosting metabolism. It helps you feel full longer. And coconut oil is also very good for a lot of those things, but I would say that avocado oil is your best cooking oil. Olive oil is your best eating as is oil. And then you can add coconut oil in as you like for other things. Coconut oil does have a strong, obviously, coconutty taste. So you might not want that on some of your savory dishes. So I use coconut oil a lot in baking because you're not reaching those high fry temperatures. But it does give a good consistency and flavor to your baked goods.
That's great. I have two more questions here. The first one is around melatonin and magnesium to help with sleep. I know when one of our children was younger, we actually used to give them melatonin to kind of help. They were hard to get down at night and they'd stay up all through the night. And then magnesium is a very little known supplement, but it's very beneficial. In fact, I've saved myself having to rub my wife's legs and feet, which is probably too much information, but her consuming magnesium has actually reduced the muscle aches and pains. And I think it also helps you absorb vitamins as well. Can you just talk about melatonin and magnesium? And just remember, we do have another question related to sugar, if we can fit that in as well.
So for sleep, some people get really good results from melatonin, others do not. Magnesium is a natural calm. There's actually a brand of magnesium called Natural Calm, and it is able to help you sleep because it does bring the body into a state of rest. But as well, it is good as a cofactor with your vitamin D. So when we talk about supplements, and again, this is very specific to each person, as it does affect with other medications that you may be on, calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D work together for the best bioavailability of the nutrients. So I would more put people towards a magnesium because the body uses it, towards a melatonin instead of a melatonin, as that's something that the body doesn't naturally make on its own.
I think the way you describe it, Tammy, is melatonin is a possibility, but it varies by the individual. But I think people will be surprised to know that the population is almost universally in deficit of magnesium, and magnesium is a very important mineral to help you absorb those vitamins and nutrients that a body needs.
Yes.
The question that I had, the other question was actually a two-part question, actually. What are the best, healthiest proteins for vegetarians or people who are like plant-based lifestyle or perhaps vegan diet? And then also someone remembers our sugar talk from last year and how much sugar you take in on a daily basis. They just wanted to have some explanation or differentiation between like how much sugar you should have, or is there healthy sugar versus unhealthy sugar? That's a lot to cram in maybe the next 2 minutes before we wrap up, but if you can give us a quick one, that'd be great.
That is a lot to cram in. So as a vegetarian, your best, healthiest proteins are your chickpeas, your beans, your lentils, your legumes, your hemp seeds, your chia seeds, your flax seeds. You need to kind of be able to jam those in on any of the meals as you can. So again, like Sian said, we don't have a lot of time to kind of review about the sugar intake. Daily amount should be quite low. And really your healthy sugars, again, we go back to the whole foods versus processed foods. And your healthy sugars are your whole foods. So your maple syrup, your honey, those should be your initial go-to for sugaring your coffees or your teas or for your baking. Limiting your erythritols, your unnatural, your processed sugars. Stevia would be kind of one of your better processed sugars. You want to jump in here, Sheena?
Hey, on the sugar, I just had a great idea. Everyone who is on this today, you should like and follow us on Facebook. And I think in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to put us on the spot. We'll do the sugar talk. We'll record that as a video, and people will be horrified by how much sugar you take in on a daily basis. And it's all like processed, refined, unhealthy sugar. But I think that's a great video for us to actually do. We'll actually record that, and just make sure you're liking and following us on Facebook, and we'll make sure that we put that video together for everybody, because I think it's something that deserves a bit more time than the 90 seconds we might have left. Yeah. I'm going to turn it back to John because I know he wants to bookend. Thanks everyone for the questions and your attention today. Don't forget to go to social, follow us, and like and share the post that'll be up in the next 15 minutes, because each of those actions will be an entry into a draw for the $75 giveaway.
Thanks very much, Sion and Tammy and Sheena. That's a great presentation, very timely, as I said. I had to smile a little bit. There was one reference early in the presentation to snow shoveling. Well, I can attest after this morning's experience, that's definitely mood altering. And the other thing that brought a smile to my face was the importance of dancing in the kitchen. It's something that my wife does every morning, and I think there are multiple benefits for that. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this morning. Really appreciate you joining us here on this virtual platform. I think it still worked very well, and the questions were great. And I'd also obviously encourage anyone who wants to learn more to contact the folks at Simply for Life. So next Breakfast and Learn, I'm probably going to get the date wrong, but I believe it's February the 17th. It's on the commercial real estate market, so something a little bit different. And I'll also put a plug in for our Recovery Road Summit, which happens on February the 25th. It's basically to help business people position their business for recovery. And we have some great speakers there, including Frank McKenna and the Federal Minister of Economic Development. So stay tuned for all that. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, team from Simply for Life, and have a great day.